Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Red Hat Senior Vice President, Application Platforms Business, Craig Muzilla.
Welcome to another Red Hat Summit. I hope you enjoyed the last several days at DevNation, and I guarantee you the next 3 days are going to be really exciting. We're showing some great technology, and we have some world-class speakers. But I have a question to start off with. Does technology really matter? Well, that sounds like a very strange question to ask to kick off Summit with, technology show. But I will argue that despite all the changes in technology and the hot technology over the last 5 years, everything from cloud to big data to mobile to IoT, technology doesn't really matter. What matters is not the technology itself, but what matters is how you create new value with that technology and create new business models. What matters is using the right technology behind you so you can focus on value creation. What matters is a process called digitization. I'm sure you've heard this word. It's been used by Gartner and PwC and McKinsey and others to describe the process of entering the digital economy. It's where a company takes its intellectual assets and exposes them as software. We are moving from a manufacturing and service economy to a digital economy. Let's face it, what the technology is always changing. What was hot 7 or 8 years ago or 10 years ago has changed today. And I guarantee you it will change again. Just look at the last 10 years. We've gone from grid to cloud. We've gone from SOA to microservices. And we've gone from machine virtualization to container technology. So it's not the tech itself. It's of the moment, how you use that technology now to create new value. And at the heart of this, the heart of success we'll talk about a little bit, is the software developer. But what matters most is a concept called convergence. We call this convergence. It's where social trends and economic trends come together with technology trends. When these trends come together, it provides the possibility of creating new value and new business models. Let's face it, as traditional products and services become ever more commoditized, it will be absolutely essential that companies differentiate themselves in a different way. And new value creation, convergence, and using software to do that is going to be absolutely essential to succeeding. I'm going to use a couple examples here to illustrate the point. You're all going to know these examples. They're very high profile, but they are great examples of convergence in action. Let's first look at the transportation industry. A number of trends converged that allowed new value creation in the transportation industry. First, there's very high demand for taxi services in cities worldwide. Have you ever been in New York City and tried to hail a cab at 4 or 5 in the afternoon? Can't be done. And this demand is true in cities worldwide. Mobile use has become ubiquitous. People in all of these cities are using smartphones today. Probably for the first time, truly viable scale-out cloud architectures are now available where a company can build out an application that could support millions of users and support millions of transactions. And there was one more trend. It was sort of a sleeper trend. I don't think anybody saw it coming. There was all this unused capacity in terms of private car ownership, not just here in the US, but even abroad in emerging countries where car ownership is exploding. The result, you all know this, of course, it's Uber. Software developers at Uber were able to see these trends converge, and they were able to see what technology was doing and enabled new value to be created. As a consequence, the rest of the transportation industry right now is scrambling to catch up. The next beautiful example of convergence is the entertainment industry. In the entertainment industry, movie distribution has always been a pretty conservative, slowly moving affair. Either you'd go to a movie theater, or you'd rent a DVD, you'd go to Blockbuster, but Blockbuster's not around anymore, or you could access a movie through cable television, which was pretty expensive and pretty inflexible. Convergence changed all of this. So now high-speed internet access is available everywhere. Anybody can stream a movie. New types of mobile devices like tablets made it viable to carry a movie with you, to see a movie anywhere, anytime. And finally, DevOps processes and cloud application platforms made it viable to create a flexible environment that you could create these types of streaming applications and bring them up to web scale, supporting millions and millions of views. You know this story as well. The result is Netflix. Netflix is really interesting because they were a traditional company. They were a mail-order DVD rental company. They completely overhauled their business. And it was all because software developers at Netflix saw convergence happen and were able to create a new business model. Now Netflix has become the premier internet entertainment company in the world. So now every single media company, every single entertainment company is scrambling to figure out how to respond to Netflix. The developer is key to the success of convergence and new value creation. Software developers are the ones that see the social trends and the economic trends, and they know where the technology is heading, and they can connect the dots. They help create new value. It's developers, like many of you in the audience, that created the value through convergence at places like Uber and Netflix, and Square and Airbnb. But I'll guarantee you, it's not just these cool web companies. It's every single manufacturing company, every bank, every insurance company. To be competitive in the future, you'll need to focus on the digital economy, and software developers like you are the keys to making it happen. We see 3 technologies that are happening right now today that are having the biggest impact on convergence. And these technologies are mobile technology, DevOps and cloud application platforms, and integration technology. Let's take a look at mobile. I'll argue that mobile's had the most dramatic effect on business plans in the last 5 years. There are over 6 billion mobile devices in the world today. 1.5 billion of those devices are smartphones, and smartphone use is growing at about 30 to 40%. Mobile makes it possible to create new business models, to engage with customers, to engage with employees and partners. Without mobile, something like Uber just wouldn't exist at all. So now every company, every bank, insurance company, manufacturing company has to have a mobile strategy and develop mobile apps to remain relevant. The next technology that's having a dramatic impact on convergence are DevOps processes and cloud application platforms. DevOps processes help you automate your software development process, and the cloud application platform that supports the DevOps process helps you roll out those applications at web scale. Netflix could not do what they're doing today if it weren't for their DevOps processes, a microservices architecture, and a cloud scale platform that allows them to roll the apps out. The final technology area, and I think this may be a surprise to some of you in the audience, why am I bringing this up? Integration technology. Integration technology today is different than it was 20 or 15 or even 10 years ago. Integration technology allows you to take physical things, devices, applications, and information, and recombine them in new and interesting ways, ways that you may have not have anticipated before. Integration technology allows digitization to happen. It allows a company to expose their assets as APIs and expose use of those APIs. Integration technology helps you do the Internet of Things. And finally, integration technology helps you to combine web APIs with enterprise APIs and new and interesting value. Red Hat is leading the way in all 3 of these technology areas. So let's take a look at each one of these. We are very, very active in mobile. We are making an announcement today. You may have seen a press release that came out earlier this morning. We are announcing something called the Red Hat Mobile Application Platform. It's a complete back-end system and platform for developing mobile apps at enterprise scale. It's based on technology that we acquired through our acquisition of Feed Henry earlier in the year, in the fall, and it combines a number of new community projects as well as other Red Hat products such as OpenShift together. It provides a number of capabilities for the developer. First, it provides the back-end capability to help a developer write their server-side logic in Node.js and have their back-end data stores. It provides a variety of back-end services like push notification, data synchronization, and most importantly, enterprise-wide security to lock that information out and protect that information. It provides access to enterprise APIs as well as web APIs through a robust API management capability, and it supports the development process and lifecycle of the app on the phone and on the device. It supports any type of device, a variety of native SDKs, as well as hybrid frameworks and HTML5. The Dublin Airport Authority is a customer that experienced convergence and created new value using the Red Hat mobile application platform. The DAA is the airport authority for the airports in Dublin, Ireland, and Cork, Ireland. They service about 25 million travelers a year. The DAA wanted to change themselves. They saw a need to become more relevant to travelers. So through the process of convergence, a number of trends occurred that allowed the DAA to transform. First, there was an explosion of mobile use of travelers through these airports. Everyone had a smartphone. Because of that, another trend occurred, which is they were all demanding new types of information services. They wanted flight information that was locked up in the back end at the DAA. And finally, the Red Hat mobile application platform was introduced at the DAA, and now software developers were able to take the DAA in a new direction. They were able to create a full-service travel provider using mobile applications in the Red Hat mobile platform. They provided flight information and weather information. They provided parking services and ground transportation services, all with the mobile apps. They even became a retailer. They were selling travel goods and services through their mobile apps. So you can see how just a few trends and some technology made it happen, allowed the DAA to create new value and expand their business. The next technology where we are leading the charge is with cloud application platforms. OpenShift is our cloud application platforms for DevOps. It allows you to automate your software development process and roll out applications efficiently and flexibly. OpenShift provides a number of capabilities. First, it provides a complete self-service DevOps environment for automating your application lifecycle using CI/CD, incorporating tools like Jenkins and Git. It provides support for a variety of languages and frameworks like Java and PHP and JavaScript, even Microsoft.NET. Unique to OpenShift is its reach, providing a variety of application development services. This is a concept that we've called XPaaS, which is essentially the rich portfolio of middleware that we provide through the JBoss portfolio. Everything from messaging to integration to mediation, workflow, process management, and data caching, and others. And finally, OpenShift is a full deployment platform. Once you've built these apps, you can take them out and deploy them and auto-scale them and do it efficiently. At the core of OpenShift is Linux container technology, based on our foundation of RHEL, our heritage and strength in Linux. OpenShift is the only platform-as-a-service product and solution in the marketplace today that natively supports Docker container image formats as well as Kubernetes. Now, developers such as you can create true microservices, manage those microservices, scale them, and combine microservices together into new and interesting value through composite applications. And we do this with containers much more flexibly and much more efficiently than virtual machines. FICO is an example of convergence in action using OpenShift. FICO, as you probably all know, is the leader in consumer risk management products and credit scoring services. The FICO score is the gold standard, the benchmark in credit scoring capabilities. They service all the large banks and insurance companies throughout the world. But FICO wanted to grow. They wanted to go into new marketplaces, but they didn't know quite how to do it. Through the process of convergence and using OpenShift, they were able to find a way. So a number of trends occurred. Of course, they had great analytical capabilities. But now they saw that there was a need in the mid-market, the small and medium-sized businesses that wanted to use credit scores but didn't have access to product or was priced out of the marketplace. The third trend was bringing OpenShift into this mix. The result was something called the FICO Analytic Cloud. They were able to take their core assets and deliver them as a SaaS solution, all running on OpenShift. They've now transformed their business and are moving in a new direction with it and providing capabilities to small and mid-sized businesses. They created new value. The third technology where we are leading the marketplace is integration technology. Integration technology makes IoT possible. Integration technology allows you to combine and create new value by combining web APIs with enterprise APIs. Red Hat JBoss Fuse is our premier integration solution. And it's much different than the integration technology that you may be familiar with from many, many years ago. It's extremely lightweight. It is based on camel and camel routes. It provides for more modern integration patterns, supporting microservices types of use cases. It provides traditional broker-based messaging, but also provides peer-to-peer level messaging to support IoT use cases. It can support millions of endpoints. And it supports new wire protocols such as AMQP and MQTT, which allow these new types of use cases and supports Internet of Things types of applications. Vodafone is an example of a company that went through convergence, created new value using Fuse. Vodafone, as you know, is one of the leaders in Europe of telecommunication services, mobile services. They support millions of customers over 40 different countries. But they were losing business opportunities because of new web startups like WhatsApp and Twilio that were starting to eat into the core competency of Vodafone. And Vodafone really didn't quite know how to respond at first. But a number of trends came together that allowed them to exercise convergence and create new value. They already had a lot of these core assets in their network and in their systems. There was demand for these new types of services like text-based internet messaging. And they had a rich partner network of ISVs and other partners that were capable of creating these new services in addition to their own developers. But these developers did not have access to APIs. So what did Vodafone do? They used JBoss Fuse, and they transformed their business. They introduced a number of API gateways that gave these developers access to this rich set of APIs, and these developers, these partners in turn started creating new types of apps that were just as hot and sexy as the WhatsApps and the Twilios of the world. Now Vodafone has sort of transformed themselves from being just a mobile carrier to also being an innovative internet service provider as well. So I hope you see in this short time here how we are all moving to the digital economy. I hope you see how convergence and new value creation will help you compete in this digital economy. And I hope you see how these technologies will enable the developers. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to show you some great technology. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bursutter.
Thank you, Craig. All right, so we've got a lot of really crazy things to show you. It's actually going to be pretty amazing. I think you're really going to enjoy the next several minutes. If I seem super excited and super energetic, it's because I am. We have some really awesome stuff to show you over the next several minutes. I think you're going to really enjoy watching us build mobile applications with the Red Hat mobile application platform. We're going to show you that live here on stage. We're going to show you how we scale out the back end in a huge way, taking advantage of Linux container technology and OpenShift. And then we're also going to show you the results of our IoT production application we've been running here at this conference. And I think you guys are going to be very pleased with what you see when we actually show you the live results of all that. So for all you guys who have been carrying our beacons around the conference, thank you very much for that. Hopefully, you can take that home, by the way. That's a free gift to you, and you now have your own Bluetooth beacon, and you can easily set this up for yourself if you want as your own experiment. So we're not here to talk about Internet of Things. We're here to show you Internet of Things with JBoss Fuse middleware as an example. Now, there's one more thing I need all of you guys to do. Make sure you have your mobile phone ready, and make sure you install the application called Red Hat Keynote. All right, Red Hat Keynote, not the Red Hat Summit one you would use for monitoring your conference, right? Looking at your agenda and discovering what sessions you want to go to. I want you to have the Keynote mobile application, because that's one we specifically created for this demonstration. It's the one for the beacon holders you would use to track yourself, right? If you've been walking around with a beacon, you can use our mobile app to see what you've been doing from an activity standpoint. But we're going to need your participation at a very key point. So when we show you this live demonstration, we didn't make up data. You guys are giving us the real data right here and now, okay? So that's the critical thing to understand. We do this live with no safety net. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I want to first introduce you to a fellow named Kian Clark, all right? And he's specifically going to show us the Red Hat mobile application platform. He's one of the original members of the Feed Henry team, and he is an expert in all things mobile, and I think you're going to love what you see right now.
Thanks, Burr. So this is the Red Hat mobile application platform. On this screen here, we see the projects. These are concepts within the enterprise that we're trying to mobilize. And today we're going to look at one project in particular, this welcome project. But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the different kinds of projects we can create. So here we see the welcome project I just mentioned. That's a hybrid application. But we can also create a native Android project, a native iOS project, Windows Phone, things like Accelerator and Xamarin, along with different client-side toolkits like Backbone, Angular, and Ionic. So there's a huge host of different types of project we can create. Going back to the project screen, I'm going to open this welcome project. So we see this 3-column view, and we'll come back to the other 2 columns in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the left-hand side, the apps column. These are the types. These are the mobile applications that we're going to install onto the mobile device. So here we see a HTML5 mobile client, and we also see an Android project as well. This guy's using our native Android SDK. We're going to drill down into the welcome project client. This is this hybrid client built in HTML5. On the right-hand side, we see a preview of the application. We can scale the preview. We can interact with the application right here in the browser. We can call the cloud. We see the response. We'll talk about this cloud side in a moment. But we can also change the mobile phone device to another device, or even something like a wearable. So also on this details screen, we've got a git clone URL. So here, this allows me to clone the application onto my own computer, use my own IDE, something like WebStorm, Eclipse.
Can I use VI or Emacs?
We don't judge.
OK.
As well as that, we can also use the cloud-based IDE. So here, right here in the browser, I can open up, for example, the index.html file, since this is a hybrid mobile application. And we can see the HTML source code, we see the JavaScript, and we see the CSS. So that's that left-hand column, the client-side application. But we've also got these 2 other columns. So we've got Cloud Code Apps. This guy in the middle is a Node.js microservice. And this is where we mash up data from multiple other backends, which we see here on the right, to make one cohesive mobile API. This right-hand column, MBAS services, these are reusable integrations that we reuse across multiple projects within our organization, unlike this middle column, where we try and keep the logic specific to this project. So here we see 2 MBAS services, ActiveMQ and JBoss Fuse. Let's take a look at the ActiveMQ one. We can discover upon this integration, and we can even try out the service live in our browser. So we get a response back, and we see the list of beacons. And here we see the check-in events, and we can see that there's folks in the keynote auditorium right now. So speaking of these MBAS services, let's take a look at some of the off-the-shelf connectors that we have available. I'm going to go to Services and APIs, Provision New Service. And here in the list, we see things like Salesforce, Oracle Fusion, MySQL, MongoDB. There's a whole host of off-the-shelf connectors available. So these are some of the kind of coding solutions that we can use to build mobile apps, but we can also build apps using drag and drop. So I'm going to open our Forms builder, and I'm going to go ahead and hit New Form. I'm going to make a form from a blank template. I'm going to call it Keynote Demo Form. I'm going to give it a very creative description, and I'm going to hit Create Form. Once this form is created, I can add form fields using drag and drop. So I'm going to add a text field. We're going to call this the name field. I'm going to add another field. Let's add a phone number field. And you'll notice that the field is different for a phone number. It's numeric. I'm going to go ahead and add a location field. a photo capture field, and a signature capture field. So I'm going to go ahead and save this form. And now that I'm happy with the form I've designed, I'm going to jump back to the project screen. So from here, I can go to my new drag and drop forms project, which makes use of this form. I can open the Forms app. As before, we see this preview on the right-hand side of our application, and we can see our Forms app, and of course, we can interact with it right here in the browser. But we're going to go ahead and build this Forms app. So here in the build screen, I can make use of the cloud-powered build farm, and I can build for Android, for iOS, or Windows Phone. Now, that's really important, because of course I can build for Android, but I can build for iOS even if I'm not using native Apple hardware, and I can build for Windows even if I'm not running Windows. So being able to do builds in the cloud is a really powerful ability. And this isn't just for hybrid applications. This works for native applications as well. So I've built this app earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and hit download. And I get a number of options here. I can use the short link. I can download the build file. And in this case, it'll be an APK file since it's a native Android app. Or I can go ahead and scan the QR code, which is what I'm going to do now. So while I'm installing this app on my device, I'm going to pass you guys back to Burr, who's going to talk to Matt about how we scale the back end of this application out in OpenShift.
OK, well, you better go ahead and get that down before people actually see it in the audience. They're going to be scanning it like crazy trying to download that app. I know how you guys work with your Android phones. All right, that's absolutely fantastic. A couple of things, though, that I think we really should highlight here. Right, you're able to build in the cloud without actually having the Mac hardware or the Windows hardware that you otherwise would normally have. So if you're in the average enterprise, you have, let's say, several hundred developers out there, but you want to enable them to build mobile applications, you can roll that out very easily, as you just saw here. You can basically do the build in the cloud. That's amazing. And also the drag and drop aspect. So you get that set up on the phone, and we're going to come back in just a moment. But right now, we're going to switch gears and talk about OpenShift, all right? So we also have Matt Hicks. He's a key leader in our engineering organization. He's one of the founding visionaries behind OpenShift, and Matt's going to give us a nice drill down into what OpenShift has been all about for the last several months. You guys are going to be super excited with what you see and hear here. Take it away, Matt.
Sounds good. Thanks, Burr. So on OpenShift, we're always evolving. But really, this latest round of changes, we've made a fundamental technology shift under the covers to take advantage of both Docker and Kubernetes. Now, you might be wondering, really, over the last 18 months, you've probably heard a lot about Linux containers. And why is this new technology so exciting? Now, I think there are a lot of reasons for that, but one of the key reasons is that they're vastly easier to create than virtual machines, and they're much lighter weight. So if you're used to an environment where maybe you can run tens of virtual machines, when you're thinking of Linux containers, you're going to be running hundreds of those. And that's pretty powerful, but the density aspect isn't everything that Linux containers are focused on. In fact, I think one of the most exciting areas is how they can drive the development and operations processes closer together. So one of the things about the technology that we love is we've been working with it for quite a while now. Honestly, in the foundation in Linux, we've been working on the base technology for almost a decade. And right now, we're one of the top contributors to both Docker and Kubernetes. But while the technology is really cool, and I'm a technologist, I love it, using it directly can be a little bit complex. For example, if you have this environment, now you have your hundreds of containers, and you want to start using them, you pretty quickly get into the boat of how are you going to get your applications and describe them in a way that they can utilize these containers. So that's going to jump you right into Kubernetes. Kubernetes starts to provide that orchestration ability of how can you describe your applications in a way that they can take advantage of these resources. Now, that's pretty good. That's a good start. But few of us probably work on a single development team. Really quickly, you're going to need to start taking this environment and segmenting it up into different teams, both from an access standpoint, as well as what resources, who gets what when they're operating this environment. So now if you add that capability, then the next challenge you're going to hit is what are you going to do about your existing applications? You have a really good environment here, but how are you going to get your existing code, your existing applications, your existing investment running in this? Now, that process is probably the most important area for you, and that is squarely where OpenShift is targeted. OpenShift is providing an integrated platform that is going to allow you to go from your source code today all the way to running applications. And we do that by, it doesn't just focus on letting you design your app in a way to take advantage of this. It also lets you design your operating environment. And so this will cover everything from running your source code today and packaging in Docker containers, publishing it to registries, picking those up, doing deployments, describing your network requirements and storage requirements, everything out of the box to really let you not just run container-based applications, but run them at scale.
And containers at scale is absolutely critical. And one thing I'm curious about, though, is we have a lot of developers in the room, and I know all you guys are curious to know what's going on, specifically with containers. We saw Kian build out a mobile backend on Node.js. So what is it going to take for me to get my code, wrap it up, and send it over to you guys?
Well, so we figured the best way to show that is to show it live. So we're actually going to take the Red Hat mobile backend, and we're going to deploy it in front of you on OpenShift.
All right.
Sound good?
So we're over here at Ryan. Fantastic.
So what Ryan's going to do here that you can see on the screen, this is the OpenShift UI, and he's going to create a new application. We're going to go to our GitHub URL and paste that in, because where we start is we start with code, right? This GitHub URL is going to have our code as well as the Docker files and artifacts we need. Now, this is a Node.js-based application, so we're going to choose that as our base image to work with. And there are lots of options you have here. The one thing I want to call to your attention is the scaling replicas. We're going to leave that as 1 to start, because for this demo, we're going to start with 1. We're only going to create 1 container. Now, after we've done that, we're going to jump into the first thing that's going to happen here, and that's going to be the build. Now, we're going to go ahead and kick off a build. And the reason we have to do a build is we've provided source code from our application, and we've provided a base Docker image. And something's going to need to combine those two. In OpenShift, we do this with our source-to-image technology, of being able to take the source from GitHub as well as the base Docker image, combine those two in the way you described, and then create a new Docker container out of that. That's going to be the basis of our immutable container that all the deployments and all the scaling is going to be based on after this point.
One thing I see that I really like here is the GitHub webhook. Specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason we have those hooks there is while we're doing this manually in front of you, you might want to pick these changes up every time there's a commit and go through this entire process to start building continuous deployment.
Yeah, I totally like that option. All right, so it looks like our container's running.
Yep, so now we've seen the build finish. We see a running instance here. You can actually look in, see an IP address on this instance. And we have 1 instance up and
So
function.
web application server, our mobile backend, is now up and running over here in OpenShift.
Absolutely.
So can we scale it up a little bit more? Can we see more activity in this OpenShift? That was easy. Come on, you can do better than that, right?
Yeah. And honestly, that's the difference between, say, spinning up Docker containers and virtual machines, is that we're building this to really support dynamic backends. This is a mobile demo, right? So when you're dealing with mobile applications, you might have 10 or you might have 10 million consumers, and you're going to need to be able to respond to that. So we wanted that to be very clean and quick, so you're not having to pay for the 10 million.
Well, you know we're building the next Instagram here, right? We got all these people in the audience. We got to start scaling this up a little bit. So let's just knock it up a few notches. What can we do here?
Sounds good. Well, how about we'll add 10 more? So
Okay.
Ryan's just going to change the replicas, spin up
All right.
10.
And you can see right here on our custom dashboard, those instantly showed up on the hexagonal dashboard there. And you can start seeing those containers go through their life cycle and come to life. So what's really important about this particular dashboard is that you are actually seeing the containers come to life and they're ready to accept requests in real time. And that includes interaction with API and interaction through WebSockets with our browser-based application here. So that's absolutely fantastic. We have 10 containers up just like that.
Yep, and running.
Wow. Okay. I'm impressed. Hopefully you guys are all impressed because that's incredibly fast. So I want to challenge you guys. We have a large group. The balcony's starting to fill up at this point. There's people way in the back. I can't even see them anymore. We have a large number of people here. Let's really crank this up a notch. You know, how far can you guys go with this right now? Challenge ourselves.
We'll try to fill up the entire dashboard here, and we'll let you cut back over to Kian and see how far we get.
All right, well, you guys get going. Looks like, oh, he's going for it. Oh, fantastic. All right, Kian, so you had plenty of time to install the mobile application. Let's see what it looks like on the actual phone.
All right. So we've got the app installed. Here it is on the home screen. We've got the Forms app. I'm going to go ahead and launch that. And here we see the Forms-based app. So we've just got one form in this app. So we see the keynote form that I built earlier. And it's going to ask me for my name. Since I added a name field, I'm going to put in Kian. It's going to ask me for a phone number, 123. It's very lucky to get that phone number. We're going to capture a photo. Let's do one of these cheesy on-stage selfies. How's that sound?
Yeah. We got to get the audience in there, though.
Yeah. It's gonna
Okay.
be tough. So I didn't bring my selfie stick, but I do have very long arms.
Long arms.
So let's try that. All right. There we go.
You got to send me that on Facebook, man. Oh, wait, that's old school.
What do they use these days?
Yeah,
Instagram?
Instagram.
All right. Let's go ahead and capture the location. and it should see us right here in the Hinds.
Okay.
Since we've got concrete ceilings above us, it takes a little
Got
while.
that long, yeah.
And I'm going to capture my signature. There we go.
Is that how you sign your checks? Everybody take a quick shot of that.
Yeah,
We
that's
do that.
taking some trouble at the bank.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and hit done. And I'm going to submit.
Okay, fantastic.
So this is processing the submission, sending it through to the Red Hat Mobile Cloud, and then it's going to appear in our submissions dashboard.
Well, I mean, think about this for 1 second. We built a mobile application basically through drag and drop, deployed it to the phone, and think how often in the average enterprise IT, all you're specifically doing is putting out forms into the world at large to capture data from the end users, whether they be field mobile workers of some sort, field service workers, home health care providers, people moving around a manufacturing plant, grabbing that data and sucking it into a database.
That's right. It's fantastic at transforming these kind of paper-based processes into something much less error-prone indeed.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think the removal of errors from the system by letting people not just type in a location, but get the lat long in real time is incredibly powerful.
So I've gone ahead and refreshed the submissions dashboard here, and now we see a few seconds ago we have a submission from Cian. And when I click on this, we see our cheesy selfie, we just about see the audience in the background, and we see the location of the Hinds Convention Center.
That's fantastic. All right. So it's already entered to the system, and it was just like that. We captured the data, and so far, the conference Wi-Fi has been working for us. That's fantastic. Well, I want to get back to Matt and Ryan. They've been hanging out over here for a little while. Let's see how many containers they'll be able to launch for us. So it looks like, oh, right, the containers are still coming up. Many of them are coming up in real time right now. So can you walk us through specifically what's happening through the container lifecycle when Kubernetes is scheduling those containers and making sure that they're all rising to the state that we requested?
Absolutely. So what you see here is we asked for 1,000 and change containers, 1,026, I think it was. And for us understanding the state that we want to be at, and then actually going through and making sure we've allocated on the cluster, and we started to boot those with our Docker image that we built, to actually knowing that those are in a healthy state and running.
Okay.
And you can see here your timing's pretty impeccable. We have the full 1,026 running in front of
And it looks like on the product console, they're all here as well. All right, so this is the product console, and this is our custom console, obviously. But there we go. We have all those containers up and running. So, wow. Again, that's fantastic. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun with the audience here. I want to show you guys something else. We need to take advantage of all these containers, right? We need to have the opportunity. We obviously have over-allocated resources here, but there's a lot of people here. What we want to do is give each of one of you, right, a piece of the cloud today. And it's free. Can you imagine that, right? So we're going to basically show you on the mobile phone here, we're going to show you how it works, all right? So if you install the Red Hat Keynote application, you can see it right here on my home screen. I'm going to tap on it, and it's going to load in. I'm going to just say you just want to play, because for those of you who don't have a beacon, you can just follow that path. And let's see if we can get the connection here. And maybe it won't connect for me. Let me see if I go down the beacon path. Then it's going to load. So as you can tell, we've already kind of suffocated the Wi-Fi in this room with you guys already interacting with it. And for those of you who already have your beacon ready, I'm sure you're ready on the mobile phone. You can see your sketches going up there now. So at some point, if I could get the app to load, you know, maybe we'll have to restart the app. But you can see as you guys load up sketches, they show up on our dashboard. And what's specifically happening is that each one of these is grabbing a container from the set of containers you just saw. So each one of these Node.js mobile applications is now yours to claim. So think of it as planting your flag, right? We landed on the moon, you planted your flag, that kind of thing. So it looks like the Wi-Fi has kind of killed our phone here on stage. Ken, if you don't mind, work on that a little bit for us.
The demo gods are angry.
Yeah. But let's call out that dashboard one more time. And if you would, bring that up for us, because I want you guys to see how those sketches are showing up in real time. So seeing over here. So at this moment, audience members around you are loading the sketches into the system. So we want to see all of you guys load sketches into the system. So I should mention, by the way, there are going to be some prizes involved with this. So you must be present to win. And you can go enter multiple sketches in, just keep going if you like. Try to keep it clean. We do have some censors, though. I know with a large audience like this, full of programmers, you're going to get some really crazy stuff like, I love Emacs, right? But keep it clean and give us the sketches. Just go ahead and load them up into our system. And as each one shows up here, right, it's going through the mobile phone, through the Red Hat mobile application platform, grabbing a container resource out of OpenShift, and then letting you know exactly what container you've claimed. And by the way, this is happening in real time through WebSockets as well, out to that browser you see displayed right now. So think of that real-time application happening live as you guys enter the data into the system. So that's pretty awesome all by itself. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's an awesome piece of demo. We've actually got a lot more demo to show you. So don't check out on us just yet. Come back, give me your attention one more time, because I want to show you one more thing. Well, actually, I got several more things to show you, but that's a pretty nice piece of technology you're seeing right now with the WebSockets driving the mobile browser, and specifically from the sketches you're uploading. And it looks like you guys are doing a great job. So I want to introduce you now to Scott Stark. Scott Stark was one of the founding fathers of our JBoss organization, and he's one of the key guys in engineering behind the Internet of Things and building out our Internet of Things middleware. So Scott actually has a number of components here on stage that have been sitting around the conference, and for those of you who have had beacons, now you're going to understand why we have these beacons, all right? So Scott, please drill down on this.
Okay, thanks, Burr. So for those of you who received a beacon that looked like this little blue beacon is a Bluetooth for low-energy device that sends out an advertising event that contains a simple type of UUID type of information several times a second. And throughout the conference, we've distributed a number of Raspberry Pis that act as basically Bluetooth scanners that pick up these advertising events, do a little averaging, and then push those into our cloud broker that's running AMQ. The scanners themselves use the C++ AMQP protocol and client library to do that averaging and push that information to the broker. It could have just as easily been MQTT, Stomp, OpenWire, et cetera. We have several different protocols that we support for that platform. And as Verse said, we actually do have an example of one of those Raspberry Pi scanners up here on stage. It happens to be connected to an LCD screen so that it will display information about the beacon that's closest to it based on the signal strength. And then it actually queries the cloud registration broker for the information about how that beacon was associated to a user. Because the beacon itself is just a really dumbed down device. It doesn't know anything about the user. We didn't burn any information when you registered it. That's an association that's made via the mobile application. Okay? So Burr, one thing that we can test out is to demonstrate this live system is what happens if we switch positions to see if it can lock on your beacon.
Oh, let me grab my beacon real quick. I left it over here. Let me grab it, and we'll come back over here, and let's see as I get a little bit closer to the scanner, and it switches to Burr Sutter. Fantastic.
There we go.
So again, this is again, think about the Internet of Things. This guy's communicating across the network, out to our broker, getting the data, and coming back in real time with my name specifically because of my unique identifier. So some of you guys are going, I'm a little paranoid now, right? So we actually brought some tinfoil, seriously. I want to run a real quick test here. Okay. All right, it's back on Scott.
Well, there goes a key in as well.
Okay, now let me get a little closer to see if it still sees me. Okay. Oh, yeah, looks like. Oh man, it found me. So obviously, MythBusters, this doesn't really work. But for anyone who wants to try the experiment later, we will try it with some of you guys if you want. Okay, so we've been collecting all the data from the sensors distributed around this Red Hat Summit. Surely you saw some of these Raspberry Pis. There's one blinking on the wall by the door over there. There's one in the back over there, and there's up and down floor 200. But what have we done with all that sensor data that's rolled in?
Right, so let's describe the volume of data and what we've done with it to actually gain that information and what we've done with it in terms of our business logic relative to this conference event. So what this is a visualization of the actual raw events being pushed to the broker and then the business logic coming out of it. So on the left-hand side, you see the blue circles. Those are the raw advertising events coming out of the Bluetooth low-energy device. That's basically just I'm an I am here type of event, you know, UUID something, something, something. That gets pulled out of the AMQ broker into a Spark streaming instance, which then categorizes those events into business logic for our conference, namely where are you located, what conference rooms you're going into and out of. So coming out of the right-hand side, you see color-coded circles that indicate check-in events into a room, red is check-out events from a room, and the yellow is basically I am still here, the last place you saw me.
So in a very short period of time, though, we've collected a ton of data, as you can possibly imagine here. And our system, it didn't operate 100% perfectly when we first installed it. This is obviously a proof of concept. Can we track people through Bluetooth signals? And I'll give you guys a quick tip. We could have done this through your Fitbits, all right? Because it all works about the same way. But we chose to let you know what we're doing and, of course, carry the beacon. But you can see over 7 million, we're approaching 8 million events at this point, right into the system. Would you say this is big data?
Yeah, this is definitely big data. And one of the things that you notice if you're using the Wi-Fi conference, the Wi-Fi network in the conference is that it's unreliable, right? So
it's unreliable.
One of the reasons we were using the AMQP protocol is because it has the ability to reconnect and then retransmit events that have been cached in the scanner. So, this 7 million bits of data is, coming from the scanners when they are able to get on the network. So,
and I think it's important to note that we're using native C, in this case C++ client libraries. We have different client libraries for our messaging broker,
right.
and that's how we're capturing all that raw message data. Now, we convert it through business data. So let's actually switch over here to the right. We got to get on the right screen. OK, fantastic.
So
this is the business data.
Yeah, what this application is showing is the actual real-time location of the events coming out of the Spark streaming instance. Okay? So as expected, most of you are here in the general conference session.
Yeah. Is it not obvious you guys are here in the general conference session? So all of those folks have been carrying our beacon around with us, and that's not everybody here in the room. There's a couple thousand or many thousands of people here in the room at this point. But just the people that are carrying our beacon, we can now kind of track the populations moving around the conference center. And I really want to call out the concept here. It's not about tracking people, all right? It's not about tracking people specifically, and we don't have to worry about the phone. The Wi-Fi has killed it at this point. But think about this from an asset tracking perspective. Asset tracking is a key industrial internet use case, industrial internet of things use case. Specifically, think about all those expensive pieces of equipment that you might have in an enterprise, where we need to know where they are around our environment, whether it be a portable medical equipment, like maybe the, let me see, specifically like the ultrasound machine. If you've been to the doctor recently and you've had an ultrasound, they can roll that into a different patient room, but then it gets lost somewhere in a large hospital, as an example. Or a very specialized piece of tooling within a manufacturing line, or a very specialized piece of equipment in a big, large factory or a large plant. Maybe it's a forklift, that kind of thing. So any of those are incredibly important. And what I want to now show you is the replay of data that has kind of happened over the last several hours. So you can kind of see right now what's happening. Everybody went to breakfast, right? Everybody went to breakfast, then they went to breakout rooms, right? And then they're in the different sessions. You can see the more popular breakout sessions. And you can kind of see people bebopping, like some of us going back and forth, working here on the general session room to test our equipment, including the Wi-Fi that doesn't want to seem to work for us anymore. But you can kind of see popular sessions throughout the day. And as we get closer to this time frame, you can see everybody's in the room with us right now. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Another fantastic use, in this case, RxJS. So again, we don't want to talk about IoT. We want to show you IoT. This is a real production-ready application we invented and we put right here. So Scott, we got to get some VC funding and get our Kickstarter going.
Sure. At
this point. Raspberry Pis and Bluetooth beacons. All right, where you might be thinking, well, that's awesome. That's got to be it. No, we have more to show you. So assuming the Wi-Fi will work for us right now, we want to actually show you the Samsung wearable. We've also integrated that into our system you see here on the stage. So at this point, Kian's going to show us the Samsung wearable, and he's going to navigate into it.
All right. So as you may have noticed, this Samsung wearable doesn't come with an Ethernet port, so we are relying on Wi-Fi once again. So let's see how this goes. We launched the Keynote application, and what this application is going to do is it's going to allow me to navigate around the winners dashboard up here on stage. So I'm going to navigate through the winners. I'm going to go ahead and pick this interesting looking sketch.
These are all the sketches you guys have been submitting.
And we're going to scroll down a little bit, and we're going to pick, oh, I like that one.
Okay.
All right, let's take this guy.
Keep in mind what's happening here, right? It's a mobile application deployed from the Red Hat mobile application platform to the wearable, all right, where it's now communicating with WebSockets out to the mobile platform, and then back to the browser here on stage to be displayed to you. So it's going from watch to cloud to back again in real time as he navigates around that dashboard, selecting different sketches as winners right now. So what you've seen today is actually pretty amazing. And the fact that it's all worked with the Wi-Fi really just kind of tanking out on us right here at the end has worked incredibly well. So go ahead and pick up the rest of those winners. And Matt, you can even pick some winners too if you want. You just kind of finish it up there for him if you like. Just grab a couple.
Unicorn up there.
Oh, you had. Yeah. So Matt has some favorites.
I gotta pick the unicorn. That's my.
I make this point because it's actually Matt's laptop he's driving with the wearable. All right, so that's the key thing. So it's actually going out to the cloud, coming back, and he's making selections there. And you guys did a great job. You filled up our entire dashboard. You can kind of see who our selected sketches are there. So if you're a winner of our sketch contest, first of all, thank you very much for that. That is absolutely fantastic. You guys all owe yourself a round of applause for such great artwork. Those are fantastic. And so if you see your sketch up here, please come see us afterwards. We do have a prize for you. You're going to get a chance to take home one of those. If you're present, obviously, you're going to get a chance to take home one of those Samsung wearables for yourself, all right? And if you want, we'll work with you how to make this demo for yourself. You can have some fun with your kids and your family and impress your coworkers, all right? Okay, so let's kind of close it up and wrap things up here. We're going to bring Craig back up in 1 second. So we even have more to tell you today. So please stay in your seats. You got more to hear. But just to make sure you understood what we showed you, we built a mobile workforce application, one you can enable your enterprise workforce with easily, right? You as a developer can build a mobile application and deploy it instantly out to your mobile workforce. And you saw us do that with the Red Hat mobile application platform. We then scaled that back in out on the OpenShift technology, right? OpenShift cloud application platform, leveraging Kubernetes, leveraging Docker, leveraging that source to image thing that you just saw Ryan do, right? Source to image, pulling in the GitHub request, GitHub URL. So any developer who can push to Git can then basically deploy their app into the cloud. And that's a key aspect of that. You saw how we integrated sensor data into that mobile application also. So the sensor data, picking that up in real time with the sensors we've set up around this conference center. And again, in some cases, the network was misbehaving, but you saw we captured an amazing amount of data, millions of data points, and we were able to analyze all that data in real time using a big data solution in Apache Spark. So, and the final note of this, you saw those dashboards show up in real time through the WebSocket connection. Again, it's using a JavaScript technology and a real-time dashboard. That was absolutely fantastic, so I'm hoping you guys enjoyed all of that. There's one other thing you'll note, is if you have questions about this, the demo team will be available after the end of this session. We will also be available in various breakout sessions throughout the week. I encourage you to go get hands-on with the new OpenShift. You're going to love it. You're going to really enjoy it. There's also a Docker lab that you want to take advantage of, and you can also take advantage of the OpenShift lab. Ryan himself will be available to answer any question you want about this demonstration. All right? If you want to know how this works, he'll be available in the booth and can answer all your questions. Matt, myself, Scott will also be available to answer questions. And Scott and I also have 2 sessions tomorrow to drill down on how to build those sensors, including a hands-on event. If you sign up for it, you can build your own sensor, distributed sensor network that communicates back to middleware. So I think if I covered everything and didn't forget anything, sounds all right, fantastic. At this point, let me turn it back over to Craig. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Wow. I think these guys are a really big round of applause. Every year, these demos get more and more intricate, and the number of sort of variables and pieces that come together. These guys have done a great, great job. So I hope that shows you some of the power of the technology through OpenShift, through Red Hat Mobile Application Platform, through Fuse, how we can help you create new value. Before we leave, we have a very special announcement to make, and to help me with that announcement, I'd like to invite on stage Robin Bienfait, who's Chief Enterprise Innovation Officer for Samsung.
Thank you so much.
Robin, welcome,
wow.
welcome.
I was seeing all those Samsung products up there. I was just getting
that was pretty
very
exciting,
envious.
right?
It was very nice.
Getting goosebumps. So we're here today. The reason we brought Samsung on stage, just about right at the start of this keynote, we issued an announcement to the press. So the announcement is that Red Hat and Samsung together have formed a strategic alliance to provide enterprise mobile solutions to the marketplace.
Isn't that fabulous?
So Samsung obviously is the leader in mobile devices and mobile services, and Red Hat brings all the power of our infrastructure software, our application development software, as well as our strength with developers. And together, we're going to help you succeed in the digital economy.
That's great. So from a Samsung perspective, we really want to be that trusted partner to the enterprise. Last year, in 2014, we announced Samsung Business Services, and part of that service strategy is technical support, helping the enterprise actually engage in the rapid pace of mobility, transformation to their business, and leveraging innovation. So it's very important for us to have these alliances, and a strategic alliance with Red Hat is just super.
Yeah, so why is this so important for customers as we move forward when we're working together now?
Well, as we look at the challenges that the enterprise customer has, coming up that value chain, they really need, and wanting to be that trusted partner, they really need somebody that can come and help them get solutions, help them with their application development, take those mission-critical applications and bring them out in a mobile way to not only serve their internal customers, but their end users, the consumers. And having that alliance with Red Hat gives us the best of both worlds, the platform to enable the scalability, availability, and security that they need for those mission-critical applications.
So Robin, Samsung's the leader in the world in mobile, and you could have selected any vendor in the marketplace to partner with. Why did you choose Red Hat?
Wow, that's easy, very easy question. So Red Hat, and you guys know this, Red Hat is the leader in open source, and we are also a big believer in open source. And so we wanted a partner that engages in those same beliefs. At the same time, you've got a huge global presence and global support. And when you work with the enterprise, and their applications have got to be mission critical and deployed in all types of countries, you've got to have somebody with that global support and global presence. But the other thing is, you've got a huge ecosystem of enterprise developers that we want to embrace and engage with. So we look forward to having that partnership.
Great. Oh, I almost forgot. There's one to make this official. we have a tradition here.
Oh, I got my hat. So I have to tell you guys. So, that actually helps the lights. Now I can see everybody. Can you see?
You look good in that. This is great.
So you have to come to, I think it's Pavilion or it's D. Go to the D section. We have a number of these applications that have already been developed on Red Hat's platform. We would love you to meet with our business innovations laboratory guys. So our app developers are here. So come and engage with them. Let's make this a great community and a wonderful strategic alliance.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Come to the Samsung booth, come to the Red Hat booth, see some great technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you.